10 things that feel illegal but aren't. G'day peeps, it's Aussie Overlaw'd here, and today I'm bringing you 10 things that feel illegal but are not. Stick around for number 1 as it's a little bit disturbing, and even I didn't know about it. Now I've obviously dumbed some of these down to cover as many jurisdictions as possible, but if there's ever any sort of question about the legality of the actions, make sure you consult with a qualified legal professional. Number 10. Filming in a public place. I've got one word for you: paparazzi. Whilst it can be confusing and a little bit out of place to be filming people in a public space, there are no laws stopping you. A public place is considered a social space that is open and accessible to everybody, and generally you have free reign over what you do and who you can film in public. Alternatively, if you're filming for a financial gain or for a business, you're filming for a commercial purpose, and copyright law may apply, so make sure you check with a lawyer. Oddly enough, under copyright law, filming the Eiffel Tower at night is illegal. Number 9. Buying alcohol for the first time. Turning 18 here in Australia or 21 in the States is a monumental occasion. It's the first time you can legally buy alcohol, and handing over your ID for the first time can be a nerve-wracking situation. I myself bought my first beer after my final school exam. Having walked out of the history exam, myself and a bunch of classmates went to a local restaurant to sit down and have lunch. Being the only one over the age of 18 and with no more exams to come, I decided to celebrate with a tall frosty one. As we sat down, the class representative reminded me that despite being outside of school, I could still be punished for drinking alcohol while in school uniform. Looking her dead in the eye, I reached up, tore the front pocket off my shirt, which was the only marker as to which school I attended, and proceeded to order my beer. This was the first time I was ever carded, and it was very clear that the waiter expected for my ID to be fake. After spending almost a minute turning it back and forth, he reluctantly gave me my beer. At the time, I thought the beer itself tasted terrible, but it was good having that freedom. Number 8. Turning the light on inside your car while you're driving. There are no laws prohibiting the use of bright interior lighting while driving in any Australian jurisdiction. That said, if a police officer deemed your ability to drive to be severely impacted by having the interior lights on, you may be warned or fined for careless driving. In the States, contrary to popular belief, it isn't illegal to drive with your interior lights on. However, like with Oz, if the police deem that your interior lights being on is a distraction or leads to you driving carelessly, that is illegal, and depending on the local jurisdiction, you may get a fine. Number 7. Discussing your wages with your colleagues. Contrary to what employers may like to tell you, there are no laws on the books in Australia or America that prevent you from discussing your wages with your fellow employees. From 7 December 2022, the Fair Work Act gave Australian employees the right to share or not share information about their pay or their employment terms and conditions, or to ask other employees the same. Employees can exercise these rights even after they leave their employment. In the US, under the National Labor Relations Act, employees have the right to communicate with other employees about their workplace wages. According to the National Labor Relations Board, wages are a vital term and condition of employment, and discussions of wages are often preliminary to organising or other actions for mutual aid or protection. Number 6. Counting cards. Whether the casinos like it or not, counting cards is not technically illegal. There are no laws on the books in Australia or the United States that prevent someone from entering a casino and having a go at counting cards. However, obviously, as you are on private property, the rules set up by the casino are the rules that you agree to abide by. When you break these rules, the casino owner has the right to trespass you and ban you from the property for breaching their conditions of entry. And while it's obviously illegal, there's a good chance they're going to rough you up on the way out. Number 5. Eating food from a store prior to paying. This one's a little more of a grey area, so I'm going to stick to Australian and UK law. Although I understand America has the same concepts of contract law. When going into a supermarket, it is not technically against the law to open a candy bar or a bottle of soft drink and consume it while shopping. In this situation, because of the contract concepts of invitation to treat, in which the shop displays items for you to put in your cart and for you to then make an offer to buy them at the checkout, no theft of goods actually takes place unless you attempt to leave the store without paying. It generally only applies to packaged goods and should not be attempted with anything like bananas or grapes or any other items that are sold by weight. It may also be frowned upon by the store, and you should definitely check for terms and conditions displayed prior to entering the store. Number 4. Owning a tank. Ever wanted to own your own tank but didn't think it would be possible? Well, it's legal in both Oz and in America to own a tank. In Australia, as long as the gun is non-functional and you fill out the voluminous amounts of paperwork, you can legally own a tank in just about every state. In some states, it's possible to be road registered. In the US, tanks are legal to own as there is no federal restrictions on owning a tank with a disabled main gun. You can operate it on private land without restrictions, however, you will need to determine if there are state or local laws applicable, as only certain states allow the use on public roads. From what I gather, you can in fact purchase a fully functional tank, but that does require a destructive devices permit. Number 3, driving while barefoot. Contrary to popular belief, there is no law in Australia or the US that makes it illegal to drive whilst barefoot or whilst wearing thongs, also known as flip-flops to those of you across the pond. There are no laws that prescribe appropriate footwear whilst operating a car. However, like turning on the light while driving, it can still result in a fine if you're pulled over for failure to properly operate a motor vehicle or if the police decide that you are driving recklessly. Sticking with motor vehicles, number 2, flashing your lights to warn oncoming motorists about the police. Here in Oz, it is not illegal to flash your lights in order to warn about hidden police. There are some caveats though where context does apply. For example, in Western Australia, you can be fined $100 and lose a demerit point if you flash your lights to somebody within 200 meters. This is just because blinding somebody with high beams is generally considered to be a bad thing. In America, the courts have generally interpreted flashing your lights as an expression and therefore is protected free speech under the First Amendment of the Constitution. If only we had that kind of protection. Now, before I do number 1, I do want to ask that if you've enjoyed this video, you hit the like, double check whether or not you're subscribed, and maybe consider sharing out the video. Number 1, marrying a step-sibling. As gross as it is, there are no laws on the books in Australia or the US that prevent someone from marrying a step-sibling, except in Virginia. In fact, here in Oz, under federal legislation, a person can marry anyone so long as they are over the age of 18, not already married, understand the legal implications of marriage, and be freely consenting, as well as not marrying a parent, grandparent, child, grandchild, or blood sibling. Beyond that, it's apparently free reign. It's possible to marry a cousin, foster brother or sister, or stepbrother or sister, as long as they weren't adopted by the adults who raised you. The US isn't much better, with the states regulating marriage between blood relatives and incest being a crime in all 50 states, but step-siblings aren't really blood relatives, and can marry in all states except for Virginia. Forbidden marriages are those who are closely related by blood, though Arkansas also prohibits marriage between a step-parent and a stepchild, as well as a step-grandchild. At least they're taking some protections. So there you have it, folks, 10 things that feel illegal but aren't technically. Some of them I kind of wish they were. But anyway, hopefully you've liked the content. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the flip side. Stay healthy, wealthy, and wise, people. Peace out.